Hi, I'm McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. They just told me live streaming wasn't available, and then what happened there? Okay, so the power of being reassured. I think this is an interesting word. I don't think it's used a lot, but I definitely feel like it's a part of my work and dealing with people with breakups. I come across a lot of situations where people are doing the right things. They're not getting results immediately. They're not getting their ex back immediately, but they're doing the right things. They're in no contact. They're going to the gym. They're starting out a new exercise routine. And they're just not being patient with it. And so sometimes we don't see the results and we get a little antsy, we get upset, and we start to lose confidence, and then we stop doing those actions that actually produce. And years back when I was in real estate, I remember going to a training course and they said, don't focus on the results, focus on the actions or focus on the action items. And at the time, it was maybe sending out mail, maybe going to open houses. For me right now is doing live stream every day, answering emails. All these things do not produce immediate results, but they're the right things to do, and eventually the results will come. And so what I'm finding in a lot of live coaching sessions, not all, because every coaching session is different, every individual breakup is different. I'm finding people that sometimes just need to be reassured that they're on the right path, that they're doing the right thing, that they left a relationship that wasn't serving them. And by writing out their story and getting clear on what happened, when it happened, and what their role was, they can come to a place where they're at a bit more peace. Um, and so what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you do get reassurance, it's from someone you respect, because that's different. Someone that you respect in your field, whether that's business, whether that's relationships. My ex-husband reassured me 7 years past divorce, felt vindicated, but as you well know, not feasible in getting back together. Honoring yourself is everything. Well, thanks for that, Monica. That's a good statement. Um, but reassurance is important. I don't think it's a word that's used a lot. So have you been reassured in your efforts with your ex? That's my question for people on the live stream. Please go ahead and answer that question directly. Thank you for answering that question yourself, Monica. I'm going to come back to this like I do in the live streams, and I'm going to go off on this topic a little deeper for the next 10, 15 minutes. But really ask yourself, have you had anyone that is a friend, family member, myself? Sometimes people say watching your videos has reassured me. G Money's on deck. It's been a while. I almost put you on a milk carton, bud. So let me know on that, and I'll get back to you guys in a moment. So the power of reassurance. So I was thinking to myself, when have I received reassurance that was really reassuring? And it just makes you feel good, right? And I remember this is years back, I was in a place, I was in between jobs. I had some family things going on. When I say family things, this is, I believe, in my late 20s, maybe even at 30. I don't know the exact age. But there's some personal things in my family going on that stress you out. And I was a little bit spun, I was going in all different directions. I had this job that was okay, but it wasn't what I really wanted to do. I quit that job. I went into another job. I had a job interview. So this job interview was at a university that I wanted to work at and I was looking forward to. And I had confidence. I was like, I'm going to get this job. I'm well qualified and whatnot. But I remember my girlfriend at the time, we're sitting in the car, and right before the interview, you get to thinking, and you're thinking, I wasn't thinking so much if I was going to do well in the interview, because I've always been pretty good at interviewing. It was more or less like, should I take this job? Is this the right thing to do? And I remember right before the interview, my girlfriend was in the passenger side, and she said, you're going to do just fine. And she gave me a kiss on the cheek, and the way she said it, and the way she looked at me was so reassuring that I was on the right path. It felt so right in that moment. And I don't even think she realized how good it felt. And I just needed that at that moment. I was in all different directions. I had a family member, when I'm talking about the family, I had a family member that just passed away. I was thinking about moving. I had all these different directions. And when she did that in that very moment, and the way she did it and the way she said it, and it was 2 or 3 sentences with a kiss on the cheek that was genuine, and it reassured me. It leveled me out. And someone might say, well, you got to do that for yourself. And I agree, you do. And that's to my next point. But at that moment, it was just what I needed. It was just what I needed, and it felt so good. So another point, I had a coach recently give me some advice, right? So I'm sorry, I wrote this down and I lost track of what I was going to say. In doing live coaching, okay, this is what I meant to say. I wrote down some notes and then I forgot what I meant in the notes. Excuse me. So someone that I had done a live coaching with that was giving me tips on YouTube and tips on how to run my website and whatnot. And someone that I really had a high level of respect for based on his own channel and just the way he handles himself. In our first talk, we're on a live FaceTime video. He's like, "Oh, I went to your channel. I really like it. You do good work." And you might be thinking, well, Mac, you've been doing this a while. You're a confident person. I am. But when he said that, I felt reassured in that moment. Like, wow, you watched the channel and you liked it too. Because I respect him, because I respect his opinion. A lot of the things that he talks about on his channel with book reviews, I respect. And so it came from a very powerful place. And so for him just to say that simply and honestly was reassuring. And it felt good. Some say, and I just talked to someone earlier this morning, that some say that I don't care what people think. I'm doing it anyway. And this is a friend of mine that I'm working on a future project with. And he just said that earlier. And he gets shit done, man. He executes. A lot of us, myself included, we could talk about ideas, but are you executing? And he's one of those people. He doesn't need the push. He said, I don't care what people think. I think that everyone cares a little bit. There are people, and I think it's a smaller percentage rather than a bigger proportion, 20%, 30% of the population that don't care. They're going to do what they want to do and they're going to get it done. And a lot of times these people are successful. But there's a large portion of the population that need a push. And it's usually some area that they're not that confident in. Regardless, it's always appreciated and feels good to reassure someone. And when I say when you want to reassure someone, you want to reassure them honestly. I'm not talking about being raw and being fake and being over the top. I'm saying like the individual that told me, hey, man, I watched your channel. It's good. I really liked it. Genuine. No fluff, no extra, cherries on top. Next, how do you give yourself reassurance? So I thought this is really, really interesting. This is kind of funny. I was listening to, and you got to reassure yourself, right? I was listening to a podcast and it was Seth Rogen. If you know the comedian Seth Rogen, who's quite funny. It was on the Tim Ferriss podcast. And Seth Rogen says he goes over to Kanye West's house. And in the living room or on the stairway, there's a giant picture of Kanye himself, dressed up, and it had some phrase like "I love me" or something like that. I don't know exactly what it was. And Seth Rogen said he was kind of like, "Oh, that's nice. You obviously support yourself," and he had like a sarcastic comment about it. And Kanye West goes, "If I don't love me, if I don't support me, who is?" And Seth Rogen went, "Damn, that's true, huh?" He's like, "If I'm not my biggest fan, who is?" And in that particular case, it makes you look at it differently, right? In one sense, people would say, wow, you're really full of yourself. You're so self-absorbed. But at the same time, having confidence and reassuring yourself that you're a big fan of yourself, you're happy with the way you look. I wouldn't put probably a giant picture in my living room, but his reasons for doing it, well, those are accurate in reassuring himself that, he's a superstar or he's this or he's that. And I don't necessarily know how his life's turned out based on that, but it makes sense in the sense, find ways to reassure yourself. Find ways to support yourself and your beliefs. Maybe that's not putting a giant picture of yourself in the living room, but if you have reason to do so, do it. When have you received some valuable reassurance? Someone had faith in you or believed in you. So this is a question for you guys on the live stream right now or in the comments below. I'll say this again. When have you received some valuable reassurance? This could be with your ex. This is something I do a lot when I'm in live coaching sessions. And I'm not going to say that I only reassure people, because that's absolutely not true. Sometimes we think about strategy, or sometimes we think about what's your next option, or what's your next job, or are you doing no contact? There's a lot of different things, but sometimes valuable reassurance is huge. Someone had faith in you or believed in you, and it made a difference. Okay. I heard Tony Robbins, or Anthony Robbins, the old school name for him. Tony Robbins was being interviewed, and they were saying to him, you know, what made a difference in your life? And he said, I went to Jim Rohn, who's a motivational speaker and talks about making money. But he said, when I was in high school, he goes, I was in speech class, right? And he said in high school, he wasn't like the coolest kid or anything like that, but he wasn't afraid to talk. And the teacher pulled him aside after class, and he said, hey, look, I just want to tell you, you got a real talent. I don't know. He was using it at the time. He made a speech about a girl he liked in class or something like that. And I think he was being funny, but the teacher stepped aside and he said, hey, look, you got a real gift. I've never met someone that can captivate a group the way you do. And you're doing it all off the top of your head. And for the most part, you're not even preparing some of these speeches. And Tony Robbins kind of made it out like, you know, that's when I kind of knew that was one of the turning points that I knew that I could be a really good speaker. It was reassurance, right? He already knew he was probably a good speaker, but coming from the teacher, coming from a place of authority, it probably gave him a boost. The next few times he probably spoke with a little bit more confidence, or even thought he circled back to that when he'd have a big crowd or a big group and go, no, I'm really good at this. And so I remember when I was in real estate, I had a mentor that I worked with, and he was, I don't know, one of the top agents in the county. And the fact that he was willing to work with me was big. But then we'd have lunch and we'd talk about some different things, and we'd talk about some situations where we were negotiating things with clients. And he would just go out of his way and he goes, Mac, you're polished. You're really good at what you do, man. I've watched you. You're good at with common ground. And I've always felt like I was good with people, and I still do. But being reassured double stamps it by someone you respect. Okay. There's something called the hero's journey. Put it in the comments below if you guys know what the hero's journey is, by Joseph Campbell. This is a storyline that's a loop that a lot of movies follow. And the way you guys can look it up, the hero's journey. And one of the way it starts is it's every story starts this way. That's a good movie. Not every story, but a lot of movies. Star Wars is like this. A great version of this is Apocalypto, which was an outstanding movie. You start out ordinary world. Next thing you know, you have a problem. People are dying. People are getting killed. You have a disease. I don't know. There's a problem. Then you have to leave. Then you have to come back. But there's a point in the story. And if you watch Harry Potter, Apocalypto, Star Wars, there's always a point in the story where someone goes to a mentor, an advisor, a wizard, a ghost, and gets advice. Do you know what I'm talking about in a movie? Put it down in the comments below if you know what I mean. Think about this in really good movies. There's always a mentor, advisor, a wizard, a ghost, someone prominent, that someone during their journey in the movie, in the story, where they're facing adversity and they have to get some advice. And guess what? The advice is usually simple. It's like, son, stay the path, stay the course. And then the guy disappears. And it's like, oh my God, that's what I need to do. And what it is the person speaking is so highly respected that their reassurance actually propels the person. Because if it was just some bum on the streets, they wouldn't take it the same way. But because it's a highly respected person, and it's at a point when they're questioning who they are and what they're doing, and the person just says, stay on the path, stay the course, son. And you're like, wow, that was just what I needed. Whew. Happens all the time in movies, folks. Okay, and good stories. So if you know what the hero's journey is, comment on that. Let me know. Okay, this is my top 10. Let me check it on the group. If we're at 14 deep. Go ahead and throw me some likes, if you will, if you like what's going on. We got a nice crowd, and I'll be with you guys shortly. So here's the top 10 ways to give and get reassurance, because you don't want to go around looking for reassurance, because that would be needy and weak behavior. But if you go out of your way to give it, you're going to get it, because that's just how the world works, in my view. Okay. So number 1, tell them they did a good job. Tell whoever you work with or someone else that you admire that they're doing a good job. Number 2, find ways to honestly compliment other people. Notice I use the word honest. If someone's doing something slightly impressive, if someone's wearing a piece of jewelry that you admire, say something about it. Compliment them. Number 3, be your own coach. Advise yourself with care. I know I've mentioned this before, but this applies to reassurance. Reassure yourself. It's not as strong as when someone you highly respect does, but when you get to a certain level, do this regularly. Number 4, believe in yourself, believe in others. Give people the benefit of the doubt. So I know everyone, believe in yourself. Yeah, I've heard that one before. Me too. Believe in others? That's a little bit different. If you're believing in others, if you're giving other people the benefit of the doubt, wouldn't you be giving yourself the same? Because I think a lot of times, myself included in past times in my life, sometimes I don't give myself the benefit of the doubt. And what does that do? It doesn't make me give other people the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes I don't believe in other people. Now, you have grounds to not believe in other people. You have grounds. If you've known them for years to be a liar and a cheat or a thief, and they've done it repeatedly, well, then those kind of people, you need to cut anchor and move forward. And you don't necessarily need to believe or not believe in them. You just need to not be around them. Number 5, this is a big one. Have camaraderie in multiple areas of your life, because camaraderie at its highest level is team-friendly friendship groups. You got a basketball team that you play with on the weekends, or I used to play basketball at noon for a couple of years because my job allowed it. I had a couple hours, and there was just a group of guys that would come there. There were about 20, 25 different guys, and you play basketball together. You get to know each other. You joke around. You support each other. Camaraderie is built through classes, work. So if you have a job where you're heavily isolated, you don't get a lot of camaraderie. So seek areas, and we can talk about this in another live stream, but camaraderie, I find, is lacking in a lot of people's lives that are depressed and sad. And I think that multiple areas of camaraderie are big. And a lot of people, if they have a good job, I've had friends that worked as contractors, or I think there was even a friend of mine that worked for a cleaning crew. And there was one time also I worked, this is a long time ago, valet parking. I did it part-time on the side for a little bit. But the camaraderie within the group of guys that were valet parking, this was years back, it was fun. It was fun, actually. The money wasn't great or anything like that, but the group of, and there were some women that I worked with, but the camaraderie was fun, and we lose sight of that. And camaraderie is you giving each other reassurance a lot of times that you're a good friend, that you're good people, that you're good to be around. Number 6, get good at a craft. So good they can't ignore you. This is actually a book, So Good They Can't Ignore You, by Steve Martin, the comedian. But get good at something. Get good at something that's valuable. Get good at being the director of IT. Get good at making websites. Get good at and make sure it's specific. Get good at cooking French food or making a croissant. I don't know, but get good at something, and it'll reassure other parts of your life that you can build up to something. Number 7, accept compliments or reassurance with grace and say thank you. This is actually really big, and this says a lot about a person's confidence and where they're at in life when you give them a compliment and they go, oh, no, that's not me. I'm really not that good at that. I've only been doing it this long, and actually, I'm horrible. Um, when someone gives you a compliment, say thank you. Say thank you genuinely, and say thank you with reassurance to yourself. Yeah, I am getting better at that. Yeah, I am pretty good at that. Because when you bat things away and someone reassures you, that means that you probably don't reassure a lot of other people also. Okay. So any kind of compliment you get, you just say, thank you. I appreciate that. And you'll notice highly confident, successful people, you give them a compliment and they'll just go, yeah, thank you. They accept it as true and with grace. Number 8, stay away from those that pull you down. I mean, this goes without saying, but a lot of people don't do it. I've had this in my life. Crabs in a bucket, right? They don't like to see others do well. They are jealous or spiteful. Is this your ex? So if you're on this channel about your ex, this is probably one. If someone is pulling you down or never giving you reassurance, or you always have to reassure them, it's one-way traffic, or they're the opposite of reassurance. They keep reassuring you of how shitty you are, or how ugly you are, or how fat you are, or how bad a person you are. Cut anchor. I like the phrase cut anchor. Do you understand what I mean when I say cut anchor? You're in a boat, you dropped anchor, you're starting to fish, and that hole is not a good hole. Cut anchor and move. Get moving and don't look back, because these people are crabs in a bucket. Crabs in a bucket, every time you get to the top, they pull you back down. They pull you back down. And it's an endless cycle. And then when people break free from something like this, oh, wow, I should have done this a long time. And a lot of times it is what your ex was doing. Not all the time, but a lot of times. Number 9, execute goals, get things done. That goes without saying. You'll get more reassurance if you execute things rather than talk about them. Number 10, write this down because this is huge and this is a core message throughout my channel. And if you've heard it before and you go, oh, yeah, you said that one before, Mac, I don't care. Start doing it. Contribute to society. Help others. Do charity work. You want to get reassurance. You want to feel better about yourself. You want to build up self-esteem. You're single again. You're in a breakup. You're worried that life will never get better. You're worried that you'll never meet your ex again. Start contributing to society. Start helping others. Start being a good human being. And guess what? People all around, wow, you do really good work. You do a really good job, because it's true. All right. So 22 minutes. That wasn't so bad. We got 14 on deck. We got a nice crowd, and I'm going to get into it here. The ex I told you about getting engaged while we were on break did eventually tell me he made a mistake and will always regret it. Personally, it makes no difference anymore. I think timing when it came. Well, you know what? It always feels good to be reassured, right? You love Mex. You were reassured in that moment. To reassurance is everything, in my opinion. What's up, Brian Union? Hey, G Money. Great to see you. Might need to get to bed. This guy named Mac keeps me awake. Damn it. I wonder why reassurance from your ex should even matter so much. I didn't do this post for you to get reassurance from your ex, but I do think, and this wasn't one of my thoughts before You Love Mex made this comment, but I do think it's really nice to be reassured if an ex comes back to you and says they made a mistake, or that's nice reassurance that it wasn't just you, or you were a shitty partner. I'm just saying overall, the word reassurance is overlooked, and I just come across it so much when I'm talking to good people that do good things, and they're spun because they got in a breakup, and I'm reassuring them, hey, and this isn't everyone, because some people have more problems than others. Everyone's different. I'm saying that reassuring your friends, family members, and yourself is important. Really looking at that, because there is no certainty on most things. There is no certainties on your ex. I don't think reassurance needs to matter so much, but it's a nice bonus if your ex comes back to you and says, hey, man, I really screwed things up. You were a really good partner. Because you know what? People are carrying how bad they were a lot of times. And if you can release them from that, that's outstanding. My friend told me I'd be fine at my new job, but I'm still nervous. So the reassurance didn't work. Okay, well, we'd have to unpack that a little bit, why you're nervous and what the reasons are. If you wanna let me know what the reasons are, then we can get into that. Um, maybe just saying you'd be fine isn't enough. Is anyone at work giving you compliments? Let me tell you this, Brian, I've had a few jobs in my life. Um, and I remember being at a few jobs, and the first week always sucks. Number one, because I worked when I was 16 till 20, I worked retail jobs, which are they're not shitty jobs. There's camaraderie there, and you really learn about dealing with different people. So there's a lot of value in that. You don't get paid anything, but they were part time while I was in school. But when I first started, you always start with the worst shift, like 1 to 10. I used to work 1 to 10 sometimes. It's a horrible shift. You got to do vacuuming, you got to do this, you got to learn how to sticker this and do that. And I remember thinking like, fuck, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. I'm going to learn how to do this stuff. And then what I would do, Brian, I would look at the person that knows how to do everything, and I'd talk to them, I'm friendly with everyone anyways, to be quite honest, but I'd make friends with them, and then I'd have them, like, how do I do this correct? I wouldn't be afraid to ask other people where the job's really easy and clean for them, how they're doing things. And usually they were there for 3, 4 years. It wasn't just like they just got there too. And usually people are, um, I want not the word privileged, uh, but that makes them feel good about themselves if they can teach you how to do the job better. So seek the people out at your job that you look at that they're getting it done and they're getting it done easy. Go to lunch with them and go, yeah, just I'm a little nervous about this job right now. Is there anything you can give me on this? Just be upfront with them. Good question, Monica. I feel like many people make peace with the circumstances. I think finding peace in yourself is important. I agree. Good. We want to know that our ex feels like they made a mistake so that it heals our bruised ego. I think that's true, G Money. I think if you're searching for that, sometimes you're not going to get that. Okay. You're not going to get that all the time. But here's what I would say. It's damn nice when it happens, but when I'm doing a live coaching or I'm talking to some of these people, I would say um sometimes in the moment when they're really wounded and there are no contact, or their ex said some really nasty things at the end, they need to be reassured that those nasty things aren't true, that they're doing no contact for the right reason, or the relationship that they broke up out of the breakup needed to happen. And so these are different cases beyond just your ego. These are ways that you need to move on. Hey, Matt, glad I don't need you, but if you'd be the one, I'd come to you. Bob Bellman's good people. Thanks, Bob. We had an epic live coaching session. I think it was like an hour and a half or 2 hours. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it, Bob. We do all this work on ourselves in the secret hope that it might get them back. Reassurance from that person makes you feel like all that work was worth it. That's a good point, G Money. Well, what I would say about that though is hopefully along your breakup, you can get some reassurance from friends that you respect, or family members or coaches or colleagues at work. And again, people you respect. Do you understand what I mean by that? People that you go, wow, this person is a really good person at work. They have a really nice body of work. Wow, this person has a really good relationship. They got a good way about them. Don't take advice and reassurance. How many people have been opposite? What would be the opposite of being reassured? Cut down? What would be the opposite of reassurance? Reassurance, synchronicities, when they remind me of a person, because synchronicities can't be controlled. I believe in synchronicities. Those are interesting. There was a book I randomly read in a library. It was just on the shelf, and it said, when God winks at you. Now, I'm not going religious on this, but he was talking about moments when something goes right for you and it was unexpected, like a synchronicity, I suppose. But synchronicities to me don't necessarily always mean that you're being reassured you're on the positive track. He was saying he called it a wink from God when something would happen, and they would go, oh, you're on the right track. I will say this in my own life, there's been unexpected things when I set my mind to something that's positive and good, things start falling into place and you go, oh, wow, that was really neat. Oh, okay. Well, I just met this person that can help me with this. There's, doing good work and doing those kinds of things. Those aren't accidents. I actually do this with everyone. Lots of people come to me for advice and or be a sounding board. I just listen and give encouragement, and people really respond well to it. Well, good for you. Good for you, Fun Sawa, which I know what that stands for. Um, being a good listener is huge, right? Matt A, hope you're well, buddy. I find all I do is seek reassurance from others. Really need to work on that. Well, what I would say to you, Matt, a couple things you can do is you can flip it. Being that you're someone that seeks reassurance and you realize that about yourself, make sure you're reassuring anyone that's under you that they're doing a good job. I know that Matt's done a live coaching and you reassured me and gave me high praise, which I highly appreciate. Um, and I've been someone in my life, full disclosure, that likes reassurance myself. And it gets to a place when you respect yourself in a sense that you can say to yourself, regardless of what people think, I do good work. I'm a good person and I lead with good intentions. And if you can come back to that again and again, Matt, eventually you can let go of that more and more. But it takes time. If that's the kind of person you are, that's been developed from something in childhood. And the first step is realizing that it's something you don't want as a part of you any longer. And so it'll take time, but by you just divulging that to a group of 15 people on YouTube is big. Or, I mean, maybe more people watch this. So that's the first step, and you're doing the right things right now. Judy, hey, synchronicities are fascinating. It's the universe winking at you, letting you know you're going the right way. I think you wrote that winking thing before I even said it. Finally made another live so late, though. Geez, Mac. Well, I'm sorry. This is the convenient time for me. It's 10:20 a.m. This is my most awake time. And it seems I do live streams at different time frames, but actually, even though people complain about this time frame, it's probably the most people. So I don't know why that is. So I know some of you it's 11 o'clock, but I've done them at other times, and this seems to be more popular than others. People come to me for advice, so they must see something in me that's reassuring. Well, of course I mean, it's not an accident, right? It's not an accident. It's like I go to barbecues or I go to gatherings. A lot of times when friends have kids, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years. I've been a teacher for years. I don't have kids of my own, but my niece and nephew, I helped raise them years back. I lived with them for a few years during their, I think one was 6 and one was 11. Lived with them for a few years. But I'm always really outgoing with kids, willing to play and have fun. And people are always like, oh, wow, you're really good with kids. I mean, you really have a way. Da-da-da. I'm a teacher. It's part of my nature. I don't need to be reassured about that. I know that about myself. But people saying that is a nice compliment, right? Judy Jack. On the Kanye thing, I actually would put a pic of me up if it was a very artistic setting. Good, Judy Jack. Isn't that funny? The hero always denies their destiny at first, tries to run from it. Do you know the hero's journey, G Money? Me and you are always on the same page on stuff like that because you're a history major. We read a lot of the same stuff. Actually, those Yoda quotes are deep. If you guys don't know what the hero's journey is, I've taught creative writing before, and that's the core of it for my class is the hero's journey and writing a story with that. Harry and Dom Bledder. I don't know what that is. You love mechs. I'm sorry. Rob's on deck. Always a pleasure. Rob, what are you up to? Rob's probably at the Shangri-La having a mojito. You guys want to hear something funny? This is random. There's something called a stormy. This is a cocktail. So mojito is a cocktail, right? A stormy something. Does anyone know what that is? And it's made with rum and Coke. Oh God, that's gonna bother me now. No, I'll have to look that up. I'll tell you guys that story once it comes to me in a moment. Andrew Drury, I haven't seen you for a while. She cheated, broke up with me. It's been 5 months. She can't even look at me when I run into her. How can I make us on speaking terms? Well, here's your clarity, Andrew, if you're still on deck. Stop trying to make anyone do anything. So you're coming from a place of force, and that's unattractive, and it's also defeating to you. So the idea that how can I make this happen? When it comes to an ex, you don't. You don't. That's the thing. If you're a businessman or you want to buy a Mercedes Benz, you can make that happen. You can hustle, you can do things. It's counterintuitive with an ex. She can't even look at me when I run into her, so don't look at her. And that if that sounds immature or this or that, at some point you need to come to a point when you gotta go, all right. She doesn't want to talk to me. We're not on speaking terms. She can't even look at me. But I'm doing all these other things in my life that I feel good about, whether that's exercising, whether that's business, whether that's being a part of a new group. I don't know. But you need to feel good at other parts of your life that speaking to her doesn't fucking matter to you. And you need to get there. And to me, just for me, and this is my own, everyone's different. If someone didn't want to talk to me, I certainly don't want to try to talk to them. And I know that even though you see your ex, and if you when I run into her, are you running into her I wouldn't want to run into them. And someone would say, oh, you're trying to avoid them then? Yeah, I wouldn't want to put myself in an awkward situation. If I was seeing someone regularly at the supermarket, I'd probably go to another supermarket and look at it as an opportunity to find a better supermarket. You see how that works? You just got to reframe it. Mostly been at film festival. Oh yeah, that's right. Hope it was well. Well, let us know what films are the best. When I get praise from my superiors at work, I freaking love it. I put the emails in a file and read them sometimes when I feel bad about my job. I love it, G Money. I've actually done that as a teacher. I've done it. And when I used to be in real estate, I had some really nice testimonials. And it's so funny because this work is full of testimonials, genuine ones. And so G Money, read them, and read them, and read them again. And I'll tell you what, you're appreciated on this fucking live stream. People are asking about you, dude. So it's not by chance that you're getting praise from your superiors. We eat that shit up, right? Everyone does. Everyone does. And I've had letters from students that said, oh, I love your class so much, or they come up to me after class. And it's human currency, folks. Everyone's worried about money all the time. That stuff, that's lasting. And I've had a couple letters that I've reread before. Absolutely. And I'm actually going to, I'll do a separate video on this, but I just had someone give me an update from a breakup story I did, I think October or November of last year. And this is one of those ones that I just did the YouTube video, public video. I'm not sure if he gave me a donation or not. The video only has 100 views. So I went back and looked at it. And here's where I'm coming from. Everyone, oh, you should have more views. Your views are way down. I have one individual that I made that video for. And if 100 other people liked it or didn't like it, that's just fine. But this individual came back to me, said thank you, said it helped him change his life and redirect things. Obviously, he had a role in that. But coming back to me 8 or 9 months later, oh my God, that was a good feeling. I'm going to do a video about it because I said, can I share this? Because it just clarified my whole mission from the start of this thing is like, let me help the individual out first and we'll worry about the views and all that other stuff later on. It's just so funny. It's 100 view YouTube thing and video. And most people are like, oh, that's pretty weak, right? No, some individual, the advice I gave him in that video, he's saying really got him through his breakup. And now he's going to go to law school. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Yes, innocent until proven guilty. It's difficult for people to do when they've been burned, right? I'll tell you what's the worst thing you can do is falsely accuse someone of something they didn't do. How many people do that in a relationship? You want to talk about alienating your relationship? When you start looking for shit and you start falsely accusing people, it's going to be a short relationship. New Joker does look legit. He's a great actor. What's his name? Joaquin Phoenix. I'll be back. I'll try anyway. Thanks for the tip, Rob. If you're into the Batman films, get good at it. Making YouTube videos. Yeah, I could get better at it. You want to hear something funny? I was in a call earlier today. It wasn't coaching. We're talking about this project, and my friend was like, "I can't stand those drapes. Whenever I look at those drapes, I don't even want to listen to you." And I was talking about I'm probably going to take this to going into a podcast where I don't have to do video as much. And he was saying, "Wow, that's a great idea because your set right now is just ugly." And I used to have that my office downstairs that's still down there, which I really like, but it doesn't have air conditioning. My friends and I caught over 75 crabs last week. 75, is that legal to get 75? Isn't there a limit on them? Congratulations. Wow, everyone goes to South Carolina, huh? That's amazing. I love crab, but I don't know what kind of crab you're eating in South Carolina, but crab from San Francisco is always crab melt. Ooh. Head work. Haven't seen you for a while. The head back from the Rome. My ex is really a nice person as well, but it was not hard for me to accept. I'm the asshole, self-confessed, fine with it. Well, self-confessed and fine with it. Well, good for you. If you're comfortable with it, I am. Giving reassurance. One of the most meaningful ways to tell them that I am proud of them. Good way to put it. Well, because I got the job based on who I know versus what I know, but they like my attitude, so they're willing to train, but I have a hard time retaining things I get taught. If you have that belief about you, that'll become true. Brian, my suggestion is ask yourself how you learn. Are you like, for me, I'm auditory, so that's why I like an audio book rather than a reading a book. Do you learn by doing the actual thing? Do you learn by someone telling you? I'm guessing if someone tells you, you don't retain it as well. So ask yourself what kind of learner you are and how you retain things better. But the actuality is any job you have that has some kind of system, you just have to do the system repeatedly for a month and then you get on board. But if you get in your head and you get demoralized before you even started, just keep telling yourself, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it right. I'm serious. Self-talk is huge. Tell yourself, I got this. I can figure this out. When I used to have a job and there would be something bothering me about it, and usually it wasn't that I couldn't do it. I just didn't like the process or the learning part. I would look at someone else and I'd go, is this person better than me? They're not a brainiac. They're not Einstein. I can learn this just as well as they do. And that kind of served me in some ways. So you need to somehow switch the narrative to I don't retain things well to actually I retain things really well when I do it this way. Bring a note and bring a little notepad. If it helps you retain things, bring a little notepad. And if you're writing things down, people will be like, wow, you're writing this shit down. They might laugh a little bit, but on the flip side, they'll be like, wow, you really care about learning how to do this, and they'll try to help you more. Sometimes retail jobs give great discounts, though. Often pondered applying at my favorite clothes stores just because of it. They do, but in my experience, the department stores I worked at, sometimes the people would get into debt because I worked at a very expensive one. But I also worked at a few other ones. Actually, when I was 16, I worked at a drugstore, and their discount was really good. Just hanging, but that was when I used to do pictures, 35 millimeter pictures, which are done. Dinosaur, just hanging before I head out for a few parties. Well, have a good time, Rob. I'm back. Discouraged by what? Oh, that's so funny. Well, I'm going to bed. Great video as always. We'll catch the rest tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone. You too, you love Mex. Brand new Skinner, Chi-Town's finest. Especially leading with good intentions. That's one I'm always going to come back to, folks, and I'm going to do it in my own life also. And I'm doing it in my own life. It's a great mantra for yourself, leading with good intentions, because sometimes people piss you off and you go, I have bad intentions. I didn't Google it, but I mentioned it to someone in a conversation, the blue dogs in India. I haven't looked at it yet. And you know what's hilarious about that is when I told the people that, they were like, what? Like, it gets people's attention when you say blue dogs in India. It just grabs, like if you had that as a title for a book, it would probably just sell on that title because people are like, what? Ernesto, what's going on, man? Spin those plates. Will do, buddy. Thanks for dropping a like. I appreciate you. Having a synchronicities while talking about synchronicities. Inception, the movie. Stopping in to say hi, Mac, and chat peeps. Hippie chick, how you doing? Another South Carolinian, right? 821 in in SoCal, which is a nice time for you. I'm going to Shangri-La. Lots of film festival things happening there right now. Good for you, man. Have a good time. Enjoy yourself, Rob. You live it up, bro. I've been socializing with many introverts. Hikimoris. I don't know what hikimoris is. Recently, and most are not in relationships for obvious reasons, but they're all surprisingly brilliant at being extrovert gold when needed. Interesting. I've been socializing with many introverts recently, and most are not in relationships for obvious reasons, but they're all surprisingly brilliant at being extrovert gold. It's a confusing statement, but that's head work, right? There's just a little hidden message I'm not getting there. Dark and stormy. Thank you. Dark and stormy. That's a drink, right? Okay. So this is another random story. I went to buy this bike, a rock hopper. You guys know Specialized rock hopper. It was used. And so this guy was from Canada and he was really talkative, which I'm talkative too. And we're talking and this and that. He's like, hey, man. He's like, do you know the cocktail Dark and Stormy? And I'm like, no, just random as hell, right? And he goes, it's like a man's mojito, right? And I go, oh, okay, cool. Because I was like, I don't really like mojitos. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, usually women order mojitos. Now, I'm not saying that that's a woman's drink if that's not politically correct, but just in my own times. And my sister used to get them, and my mom will get them once in a while. And you know, my mom's not a big drinker. And so I'm like, he's like, it's a man's mojito. And so I think it's rum and some other things. And I like rum. And so I was at the airport. I'm going somewhere with this, folks. I was at the airport, right? And you know, when you're at the airport, I was at SFO and I'm at the bar and I'm just having a couple beers. And someone comes up and they go, and it's a guy, and he goes, let me get a beer. No, let me get a Dark and Stormy. And then he orders something else, like a drink or something. And I'm like, oh, you got a Dark and Stormy. That's like a man's mojito, huh? And he looks at me, and San Francisco is so politically correct. He looks at me with the dirtiest look. And just thought, like, before that, I had a little conversation. And he walks over and he's like, it's for my wife. It is so funny. It's so random though, right? Thanks for giving me that Dark and Stormy. Oh, that's a man's mojito, huh? No, it's for my wife, actually. Oh, sorry. Ask me how I know. I don't even drink. Aloha in the building. I agree. Hi, Keisha. Hi. Aloha. It seems unattractive. Yeah, that was a funny one, the aloha. That's a inside joke from what it would autocorrect on live stream. It's even hard to explain, right, Keisha? That's a real inside thing if you can't even explain it. It seems unattractive to chase after someone who cheated, not saying you can't want them back, but being needy after betrayal seems backwards. I agree, dude. And you have another autocorrect, MSC. What's up, Mac? Haven't been in for a while. Robert, I hope you're well, buddy. Did you ever ask that woman out that you worked with? I got a good memory, right? Your work is worth it, even if only helps one person. That's what's up. Isn't it, G Money? I'm genuine about that too. I thought that was so fucking cool because I get that all the time. Oh, you don't have that many views. Oh, you don't have that many views. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm still working with people. I don't feel bad about it. And then when I get a video that only got 100 views and the guy hits me back with a long thank you letter. Amazing. I will share it. I'm probably going to make a video today. And so you guys will see. And I even asked the guy, I go, you mind me sharing this update? He's like, yeah, just don't mention my name. It's hard to watch American movies over there. Do they sub them? Yeah, they're in subtitles. No, the American movies are in English. American movies are in English and they're in Thai subtitles. It's just that actually the movies here, they're a lot cheaper than the state. I think it's, well, maybe not, 5 or 6 bucks. 5 or 6 bucks, but it's not, the cinemas are nice. They just always, it seems like we always get the Marvel Comics movies, which I'm a little sick of. I'm over them. Mikey Mike, what's up? I'm on the right path without my ex focused on my purpose. You are on the right path. You've been on the right path for a while, Mike. Yeah, I learned from Corey, as Mac knows. Got my ex back, but she went again 6 months after coming back, and I literally knew the key out of the 3% window, flipped and became the king of 97%. Again, a bit of head work in that statement, but I appreciated head work. I like the sophistication of your messages. What a NYC in the house, Mikey. Google the Fugattis, a group of people of old school Kentucky. They had blue skin. See how things just go into something else? Apparently it gives you blue skin. Wow, that's interesting. I've heard I heard there's some people in India that have blue skin also. Fugattis. Isn't that makes me think of the statement fugazi, which is like a fake, which is from, what's that show? What's that movie? A Fugazi, the Al Pacino and Johnny Depp gangster movie. Donnie Brasco. Fugazi. Fugattis. This is the kind of stuff, this Fugattis, blue people, and the blue dogs in India. It's like useless information, but you're like, I got to see this, right? There's a book called The Purple Cow by Seth Godin, and he talks about how marketing and how having a purple cow, having something that's so inexplainable, is marketing at its best. Sorry for the randomness. I just heard blue dogs, and I know to appreciate random info. I do appreciate random info. I'm a conversationalist, dude. So beyond, that's why I like doing these live streams with a point. But then we can get into some other stuff and have some fun. Matt A, priceless what you do. Again, Matt, you're reassuring me. Thank you. I appreciate you, bud. I appreciate you. And that's what I mean. You give other people reassurance and it just comes your way. It's reciprocal. And it feels good. Thank you. I like the word priceless too. When my ex-spouse worked at Savon, he had an awesome discount. I don't know Savon. I had the same discount as a spouse and loved it. Well, cost plus 10%. Wow. That's pretty good. Swati Kap. Daikon, where are you from that you know how to say hello in Thai? Thanks for everything you do, man. Recently found you and been watching your past videos, and it's been very helpful. I also purchased some books you recommended too. Well, thank you, my friend. I got over 600 videos uploaded. It's like I looked up some people's, I think a lot of you guys like the dating guy, and I've watched some of his videos. He's good. I was surprised though. He has 67 uploads. Definitely quality over quantity. Good for him. And I think Love Chat has 180 or something like that. I just went, give me your story and I'm going to report it. Yeah, 600 uploads. Someone that I work with was saying, well, you need to have more clickbait. You need to have titles that are, and I'm like, you know what? When I first started, I was doing 6-7 video reviews a day. I'm sorry, not a day, but I would do 6 or 7 in a batch. And so I was uploading 50 to 60 videos some months. Thanks for saying thanks, Daikon. Where are you from in the world with that name, Daikon? Means in Japan, the abnormal avoidance of social contact, typically by adolescent males, a person who avoids social contact. Wow, aren't you sophisticated? Good for you. I never would have believed that an ex would come back and leave again, like Headwork says. I really thought it would work. Oh, yeah. Well, the problem was never fixed. So a lot of times just getting your ex back doesn't mean you fix the problem, which is probably that your values and your morals didn't line up. Oh, yeah, it's happened to me a few times. I'm an expert, bro. Well, it's good to be an expert at some things, right? G Money, they left one time. Why wouldn't they be able to leave again? Where's the pineapple juice? Today I have a coffee, hun. The end of a coffee. Iced coffee with a little bit of milk. I really cut. It's cool. I swapped women for Xbox. Okay, good for you. I guess that's a. I'm an NYC, but used to visit Thailand every year. Okay, cool, man. Good place to visit, bro. We just had someone that was from New York. New York. I never really have a woman. I never really leave a woman. I never have, but I'm pretty sure I could if she pissed me off. Take the red pill. Shavine together only for 3 months and got dumped after being an ass and not treating her right. Let me read this from Javine. Panned her. Together only for 3 months and got dumped after being an ass and not treating her right. I then chased her for 3 weeks and now I've been in no contact for 3 weeks. Did I screw up? Well, if you were only together 3 months and the relationship already got messed up, why were you being an ass? Why weren't you treating her right? Those are the things that is that part of your personality? Are you jealous? Are you controlling? What are the reasons for you being that way? Is that a part of your character that you need to work on? Because you just getting her back is not going to change the subconscious beliefs or ideals that make you be an ass or not treating an individual right. And then if you chased her for 3 weeks, that definitely isn't good. At this point, find out why you're being an ass and why you're treating someone wrong and really work on that. Thanks, Javine. If you want to send your story into writemac.com and have me read it, I'll give you my take. Had problems with buffering, signed in and out a few times now to catch up. Okay. Thanks for telling me. Yeah, it's wonderful. I took the red pill called Xbox, but I have to get to 6 blue bill. Women, why do you make life so complicated? Don't look at it like that, Robert. Don't defeat yourself with it. I think that when you get in a really good place with who you are and what you're about, women, I don't know why. I haven't found that in my life that I find women complicated. I mean, does as I'm stuttering, does other people find women complicated here? Some women find men complicated. I thought about this before, and I thought about talking about this in the live stream. In the relationships that I've had that have been long-term, that have been girlfriends, and I've had 4 serious girlfriends, for different amounts of times. 5 years, 4 years, 6 I won't get into the years, but I didn't find meeting those women or being in those relationships complicated, to be quite honest. Some of them ended badly, some of there was hurt feelings, but it wasn't complicated. And what I would say is how your relationship starts is a big deal. If you start off complicated, it's probably going to continue that way. I've also been winding up all the MGTOW community because I got bored. They get wound up, I heard. Yeah. I don't follow that, but to each their own. If that's something that they enjoy and they're not causing harm, while not an ex, I told my friend to walk away from me in the middle of a heated discussion, and he did for a week. While not an ex, I told my friend, what does that mean in parentheses, to walk away from me in the middle of a heated discussion, and he did. He took your instructions. I've never ended a long-term relationship because it feels like quitting and giving up a huge investment. Also, I don't want to hurt myself or the other person, but then I get left holding the mess. Well, it's interesting you know that about yourself, G Money. What I've noticed about successful people, what I mean by successful people, that they seem successful overall, because we all have our problems, is they're very good at quitting what they don't like. Jordan Peterson talks about people that aren't agreeable are usually more successful and usually get more of what they want. Talks about this in one of his lectures, and I think it's very interesting. But talked about this before. This is when I have coffee in the morning. I get a little too fast with my words. That Dr. Dre series that's on Netflix, the G Money, you'll know what it's called. Anyways, Dr. Dre, who's highly successful, the one thing that stood out to me is he knew when to quit. He knew when to walk away from making more money, and he had the confidence in himself to go, I can do better, not necessarily monetarily, but something that lines up with my values more. And that's a lot of power as a human being. But it's difficult because I think we stick with what we're certain of. And even if we're in a relationship that's mediocre or crappy, that seems more comfortable than trying to start something new and not knowing where it's going to go. And I think that people that do really well business wise are okay with that. I honestly don't think he expected that because he's highly sought after and people just bend to his will. He texted me today. I know he's kicking himself for giving in after I literally said walk away. Well, if it was a heated discussion, he might have wanted to walk away anyways. So it might not have just been you, throwing that at him. He might have caught himself and gone, this is going too far. Using the word heated, he might have thought to himself, he's not just listening to you. He's going, yeah, that's a good idea because I'm getting really upset. I admit that I got complacent in a relationship. Everyone does, but sometimes they make you feel that way. However, my exes always had this dumb idea that I had fan clubs online because of my music. Well, that means that they're insecure with the idea of you being a musician. Did you have those online fan clubs? But my other question would be, take responsibility. I admitted I got complacent in the relationship. Everyone does. I don't know if everyone does, but a lot of people do. But sometimes they make you feel that way. So you're blaming your partner, your girlfriend, your ex-wife for making the relationship complacent. It's always a two-way street. And I've had complacent relationships too. So I'm not coming from a place where I'm going, oh, yeah, you're nuts. But the way I look at things now is like when you look at things and you're like, yeah, they did it. No, you both did. You both had a role in being complacent. Women complicated, maybe, but a woman is into, she'll make things easy for you. Wow, great point. I would actually like to write that down. That is fucking true, Judy Jack. I've had relationships. Yeah, that is so true. Great quote. That is an outstanding quote. I'm writing it down, Judy. Judy, you should write a book. Don't tell me that people have told you that before, right? But a woman is into you. I'm putting this in my book, okay, Judy? This is so true. I have one more story to tell you guys before I end this thing. Great quote. Women complicated? Maybe, but a woman is into you. I'm assuming, but if a woman is into you, she'll make things easy for you. So true. Headwork's going to clarify things. Women aren't complicated, but they test men as they should. Women test men to see if they are a good mate. That's why men perceive them as complicated. Good point. I would say, in my experience, I test women sometimes, don't you? But you did have those fan clubs. What I mean, Mac, as you know, when someone wants you, they really go out of their way to do everything to get you at first. Then it fades. It's a classic human trait. Sure. I call it the honeymoon phase. But if someone I really respect told me, you know what, I'm in a new relationship and I think the honeymoon phase is going to last. And my first inclination was like, yeah, bullshit. We'll see what happens. But is it possible if you have that intention moving forward? I think if your intention is moving into a new relationship where you guys have a lot of things lined up, you go, wait a minute, I'm not going to become complacent this time. And I know how that happens. And I'm going to really make an effort not for it to happen again. I think you can change that. But is that absolutely a human trait? Yes. Can you change it by being mindful of it? Yes. Are there relationships where people are rose petals and wine glasses for 30, 40 years? Yeah. They're not as common. Can I ask you guys a straight up question about women in general? Absolutely not, Robert. Please leave the forum now. Of course you can. Come on, man. It's like when someone goes, "Can I ask you a professional question?" They certainly do, Taz. Go ahead, ask. I had fan clubs about 30 years ago. See? And you probably told your girlfriends, correct me if I'm wrong and be honest. You probably said to them, "Oh, I used to have all these fan clubs." And so they got it in their head that you still had fan clubs. Supposed to talk to someone at 11, but this is a great live stream today. Thanks, folks. I really appreciate you guys. Ladies and guys, excuse me. I'm supposed to talk to this individual at 11 today. I met 2 women this year. One tried to marry me before I've even met her. That's ridiculous. That's a huge red flag. And the other, my mother said she is good for you because you have met your match. Lasted 1 week. Never listened to your mother. As far as relationships go, I would say, I wouldn't introduce someone to my mom till a few months down the road. If you keep focusing on something, that's a big deal to me to introduce my mom to a partner. If you keep focusing on something new in a relationship, it can be a honeymoon phase for a while, like focusing on a vacation that's for 3 months. So it keeps you looking forward to something. Yeah, I think your lifestyle makes it different, right? I mean, let's put it this way, and not everyone on here is from America, but the American dream years back was to get a house, have your 2 or 3 kids, have a picket fence, own your house, have a couple cars. I don't think that's the case anymore. But growing up in the neighborhood I grew up in, that was very working class, everyone had a 9-to-5 job. And I'll tell you what, my mom used to always go, "Oh, alcoholism runs in our family." My dad was a bad alcoholic. The whole fucking block were alcoholics. Every house on the street, the guy in the house or the woman, sometimes both of them, they were all. I look back and I'm like, you know what? Our whole street was fucking alcoholics. I mean, they'd be tanked by the early evening. They have, you know why? 5 o'clock they'd get off from their job that was monotonous and boring. A lot of the jobs, they weren't even hard work. They just got high up in a city job or something else like that. They bought their house young, and now at 5 o'clock they'd have cocktails. And that would just be part of their routine because their job was monotonous and this is part of the routine. Where I'm going with this is if you have a lifestyle and a mindset that's exciting and fun, then it won't become complacent. But if you both have 9-to-5s, you have monotonous jobs, it all pans into your relationship. If you keep focusing on something new in a relationship, it can be honeymoon fed. I read that already. Most women I've broken up with say that I haven't done things for them. I usually buy a lot of things for them, but groceries for them and cook for them. Then they tell me I don't do anything for them. Okay, so my answer to that, Robert, is if you feel like that's true, then work on it. If you feel like it's not true, then maybe just the few women, because I'm assuming this isn't 10 different women that told you, this is 2 or 3, are needy and pushy, and you're probably never going to please them fully. There's women like that. They're just going to constantly find stuff that you're not doing or you're not doing enough until they're rich and famous or they have the house in Beverly Hills. And so you can't please those individuals where maybe you're just, give yourself a chance to meet a woman that appreciates what you do. But you first have to feel like, actually, I do a lot of stuff. So I don't think that's warranted. I knew you had fans. Hey, you got music online. Show us. They mean doing things in masculine ways that create attraction. Okay, I feel like I do a lot for women in a relationship, but then they tell me the opposite. I'm like, what? Okay, when you say women and you say relationship, how many are you talking about? Let's just be honest, Robert. Is this 2 different women? You're applying all women in all relationships to how many relationships? 2 or 3 that you've had? How many women have told you that you don't do enough? Women took pills. The men chose alcohol. I'm I'm telling you, where I grew up, you look down the street, it was a nice, like I said, middle class neighborhood, small house, whatever. Everyone on the block, it's culture. You go from a 9 to 5 job, you have your weekends off, you do the same things, you do the same things every day. There's no adventure to it. Sometimes, what do you think the relationship's gonna be? Oh, I work 9 to 5. Yeah, we do a vacation. And everyone had a trailer or boat in their front yard that they never used. You know what I'm This is the American dream. Have a trailer or a boat. I go back home, everyone's got a boat or a trailer. Sometimes when you become that person who always does everything, the traction lowers. That's true, but you gotta be authentic. For example, if you like to cook, which I don't that much, then cook, because that's something you like to do regardless. So you're not doing it just for her. There's certain things that you like to do, then do them, but don't go out of your way to do things you don't like, because eventually you'll have contempt for them. Don't women nowadays like men buying them gifts at times and cooking for them? Sure, but again, this is a general statement for all women, and that's dangerous because not all women are like that. Buying gifts for materialistic women can be very expensive. Buying thoughtful gifts that are surprising and aren't necessarily expensive, but they're extremely thoughtful, that goes a long ways. The idea of cooking for women, I wouldn't say that, I would say that that's 50-50. I don't think that all women like men cooking for them. No. Myself, I appreciate when a woman cooks for me, but it's not a deal breaker. Um, But if a woman told me, "Yeah, I'd really like you to cook for me more often," I'd probably say, "You know what? I just never been into it. So I'm not going to change who I am and start taking cooking classes for a girlfriend to like me more." My mother is shit at relationship advice, but her mother, my nan, was brilliant. If I was stressed out or over a breakup, well, don't get advice from your mother then. Which, if I was stressed out or over a breakup, years my nan would say, "Oh, forget it. Don't waste your time. She was sharp." Well, then tell yourself that every time and say, "You know what my nan used to tell me? Well, I'm right. Stop valuing what they get every day. I don't do everything." Shit, something's going off on my phone. Excuse me. Um, Hold on one sec. How many times have I had to do this? Call you back. Okay. Sorry. I'm gonna have to go pretty soon here. This is a great live stream today. Of course, this is what always happens, right? But we've done an hour and 12 minutes. It's been trusty. So I don't do everything to them. I don't do everything for them all the time. I know, but it sounds like you're backpedaling. My question was, how many women have this happen with? If it's 2 or 3, then that's not the general population. That's just the few that you've been with. I've had that happen before where I was with a woman and she made dinner and she goes, "Okay, now you have to do the dishes." And I was kind of like, "What?" "Oh, well, that's what my ex-boyfriend used to do. He used to always do the dishes when I would make dinner." And I was like, "Well, I wasn't expecting that was a deal involved, that I had to do all the dishes and the pans. I don't like doing the dishes." Now, somebody like, "Oh, you're being an asshole." I didn't like the way it was brought up to me that because you're making me dinner, I have to do dishes. And I said to myself, I said, "You know what? You did make dinner. I'll help you with the dishes, but it's not something I do regularly." And having some kind of covert contract where if you do this, then I have to do that, I don't like that. I was straight up with it. We continue to be together for a while. So it's better than me going, "Okay, I'll do the dishes," and then going to bed going, "I hate doing the dishes. That was wrong." If they can have you anytime they want, they won't want you at all. Women need a challenge. Everyone talks about mystery. Challenge is big. And really what women are doing in the beginning of a relationship is they're usually challenging the men, right? They're creating a challenge. Because what happens when a woman's easy? They don't get a lot of respect. And when a man's easy, God, I'm stuttering today from this fucking coffee. What? Um, when a man's easy, women take advantage of that, right? That's when a guy gets used sometimes for money or something else. I fell for that trap once or twice. If you become the beta provider and she's in her 20s, it usually won't last. Good point. I would agree. Any relationship at this point in your early to mid 20s, I would say that if you break up, that's common. Okay? That's very, very common that you will not be with someone that you met in your 20s, fell in love with for the rest of your life. You will not be with that person. That's just how it is. Because too many people want to see what else is out there. They want to see if the grass is greener. They're curious. Well, don't bring baggage from an old relationship into a new one. Everyone has baggage, but it's not for the new person to unpack for you. Great point. It's counterintuitive, the message and actions they create attraction. Well, counterintuitive to Hollywood, right? I did that. I did all the things that a man can do, more including cooking, love doing it. Didn't have to either. Well, if you love doing it, great. I went Corey mode, and that don't work either unless you have 7 figures in the bank. Good points, Rob. You're right about spicing things up. Do a video on that complacency. That's a good one. I will. And I fell into that myself in my own life and relationship. Absolutely. It's hard to get out of it too. With complacency, oh, I just decided let's go dancing this Friday. Well, your partner's like, you don't even like to dance. They don't believe that you're capable of having fun. Yeah, but it's so complicated. My ex thought she loved me more than I loved her, and that is bullshit. My ex thought she loved me more than I loved her. That's the way she felt. And again, love is different definition for every individual. Has it become a sport now? So what she thought of as love and what you thought of love was 2 different things. The thing is, though, both alphas and betas provide for females, although I don't like using the words. So what is the difference between the two? That's kind of a good point, G Money. Not sure, G Money, but it's something that needs to be studied. I think that all human beings are a little bit different. And so just saying someone's beta and just saying someone's alpha is extremely limited. Saying that someone has beta tendencies or alpha tendencies is a bit more accurate. Someone that's fully beta, they're not as common as people make them out to be. Someone that does something beta in the moment, yeah, okay. What's up, Daniel? I popped into the Love Chat live stream and I seen Daniel Calimayer on there too. It was at the tail end. That guy has a Swish live stream with the music, and he has donations posted, even though he's not about the money. If you feel compelled to buy expensive gifts, ditch her. Good point. Most women want attention from men, even small things like making sure you have a heating pad when you get cramps. That's thoughtful, right? That's thoughtful. But there definitely is women that do want expensive stuff. And they'll usually, if they're someone that has expensive stuff already, they'll tell you in the first couple dates that that's what they're about. You're not going to change that. So if you're like, oh, she's materialistic, that's not going to change. All I know is that I will probably spend the next 10 years studying this shit, as it's the only good fill between making songs. Well, then write a book, Headwork. Hey, Mac, the cakes is back. Yes, Rob, I'm back. That's crap of her. I guess doesn't do the dishes. Well, thank you. This house, we didn't have a dishwasher. No. Just in the story I'm saying, it just was a booby trap, though. It was like, yeah, well, I did this. Now you have to do that. I was like, no. And it didn't come from a place like, we're going to like yell at each other. I was just like, look, this time I'll help you with them, but I don't like doing the dishes. I would have just went out to eat then. Do I do them when I have to? Hell yeah, I do, because I've lived alone before. But putting me in a position, that was a test. Yeah, this is what my ex-boyfriend used to do. That's just fine. I'm not one of those that does that. So I felt like my ex wanted me to do everything. In that case, is that your fault or her fault? Good question to ask yourself, Robert. You got a place in that by being a little bit too agreeable, probably. You got to say no sometimes when you're in a relationship. It's just like those plates, washing those dishes. I could have easily been like, okay, well, if that's what your ex used to do, and my girlfriend's a good looking woman, and I was highly attracted to her and I was highly into our relationship. But that incident, I wasn't going to go, okay, I'll just do the dishes then. I had to say, wait a minute, I'll help you out this time, but don't make dinner with an expectation that I have to do XYZ afterwards. And I didn't even say, oh, that's not fair. I just said it straight up. Now, some people might go, oh, that's an asshole. You should have done the dishes. Okay. In your relationship, maybe. Ditch that coffee, sir. If you're open to have a look at the channel, Alpha Male Secrets, you will find some answers to your questions. Okay. I did the cooking 98% of the time. She was a nurse, and that job sucks. I did the dishes, no dishwasher in the place. Thank you. Besides cleaning when you're Headwork's always got some good lines. Women do need a challenge. Do you need a challenge? Yes. Especially women that are high value, right? The same as for men, really. Women just naturally challenge men more. That's a interesting thing. Women naturally challenge men, where men think, I just I just want to get to the good parts, so I'll do whatever it takes. And that's counterintuitive. Shout me out in the complaints since vid. I definitely will. Fun Sawa. What did you just say about people in their 20s? I hate them. No, I'm joking. I just said that people in their 20s, if you're in your early to mid 20s and you're in a breakup, it probably was eventually going to happen. You weren't going to be with that person forever. Just the way society is, the 21st century, people aren't complacent with a long-term relationship. And so a lot of times they're curious. A lot of times they're like, is this the only person I'll ever be with? And the relationship breakup doesn't happen because you're a bad person. It happens because people want to see what else is out there. So a lot of times breakups are inevitable in your early to mid 20s. A lot of them, no, but maybe, someone you were with 3, 4, 5 years, you're still finding yourself. It shouldn't be an expectation, but if someone else cooks, I always jump up to do the dishes. Many hands make more of light work. Well, that's a good way to put it. I appreciate that. I just don't like to be cornered into doing something I never agreed to. As long as you request or ATC for landing clearance, all good. Women always say have fun, and when you do, they stay calm. I don't like watching men clean. That's personal. Is a guy beta provider dating a girl in their 20s? She likely won't put up with it for very long. It kills the attraction in most cases. This is true. I work with plants a lot, and even though they are clones, they're always different. Well, I can tell what plants you work with. Good for you. Some people mistake brashness and bravado for being alpha. Lots of people mistake men for betas because they don't show their alpha side unless necessary. Again, people have moments of being alpha and people have moments of being beta. It's not like they're just like that. 94110 Flocks. What's up, coach? Much love to you. Thank you for all your help. No problem. Is 944110? Is that Cali? Is that San Diego? I think 944109 was my area code when I used to live in Pacific Beach. Thanks for the what's up, Flocks. Am I the only one that thinks Rory secretly takes some of the money that he says goes to? Oh, it goes to charities? Okay. I didn't know that. Well, that's outstanding if it goes to charities. I'm cynical and paranoid. Well, everyone might be. I didn't know that. I saw donations up there, and I always hear him say that he's not about money. If it goes to charities, well, good for him. That's good. That's the assumption most of us have. Twizzlers tonight. Rob, unfortunately, I didn't grab any today. I lost the kind of woman that everyone, male or female, would like, family and friends alike. So sometimes you have to look in the mirror and say, well, Sonny Jim, you had the best chance. So time to retire. Well, if you attracted an individual that's that high quality, you certainly could attract another one in the future. I'm not used to a guy saying no to me. Makes my ears burn, but it probably is attractive. Yeah, it's called indifference. But if you tell a woman no, then you're controlling. I don't agree. I don't agree. I think if you mean it and you have standards and you're not just doing it to try to come on to them, you're just like, no, that's not acceptable. It's like the dish thing, right? I guess I can go back to that again. I actually didn't say no because I was like, yeah, I'll help you with them, but this isn't going to be a regular thing. G money is kind of a balanced thing. I find depends on how one communicates the no. Good point, Rob. And that is a great thing about getting older, less being controlled by testosterone. It's like you can be your own real self. Well, age definitely changes your act with testosterone. That's just chemistry. You need to come here more often. Rob, that's the wisdom. I need to learn the art of standing my ground without being a dick. It is a subtle art, isn't it? Standing your ground without being a dick. There's another note. Standing your ground without being a dick. How would that go? Don't lead with force. Just be honest, I guess. Lead with good intentions. Be honest. Don't say sorry for saying no either. But it's in the one real self. They better be aware of what creates attraction, repels it. Otherwise, things go downhill quick. What's up, Mary? Yeah, I have a friend. I've talked about this before that always has the happy wife, happy life. And sometimes the things that come up, I'm just like, we were all going fishing, and fishing's time oriented, like the morning. And he shows up late for everything. Shows up 45 minutes late for the van. My dad was actually with us. And my dad's one of those like about fishing, like, where the hell is he? Oh, come on, Mac. What the hell's going on with him? And I'm like, he's always late. I'm not surprised. And he's like, "Oh, sorry, made up some things." And then he tells me later on, "Oh, I'm not going to say her name, but so and so she needed me to do this before I left, and she needed me to turn on this. Like there were all things that she could have done himself." And he's explaining it to me, and I'm just like, "Wow, dude, you couldn't say no, that you had to go somewhere." Happy wife, happy life. It's one of the real self. They better be aware of what creates attraction, repels it. Otherwise, things will go downhill. G Money, I've seen it completely implode on some guys that had good intent and others be smooth with it. No, it creates G Money. Yeah, I've seen it completely implode, but some guys had good intent, others be smooth. No, it creates more attraction. Mac Daddy's an old one. Crisscross, you all are awesome. Have a great night. I'm about to be out myself. Rob, I can say that this after 50 years on Earth, the only one I tried the 3% thing was because I meant it. I was not interested at all being with anyone. And next thing I knew, I was being pursued. Good for you. Funny how that plays out. Yes. Mac Daddy. Mac the Master. Yeah, it's fucking chemistry. And people say about drugs, well, geez, if testosterone is not the drug that changes people's mind, I don't know what is. Everything. That's true, Headwork. It is. Testosterone is a chemical that changes people's mind. Why do I have the feeling that was a great impression of your dad, Mac? It is my dad, yeah. Come on. My dad has a really deep. I'll bring him on one time. My dad's a character. I'll bring him on one time. He'd steal the show. Oh, what happened he's got a hearing aid too, so he doesn't hear well. So, but he's not shy or anything. But people will come in and they'll go, "Oh, can I take your order, sir?" Huh? What? And I'll always go, he doesn't hear that well. And like waitresses and stuff, they're always trying to be kind of, what? Yeah, I just want eggs and bacon and yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Oh man. I'll bring him on one time. He's hilarious. Well, my dad, now he's retired and everything. He's way more mellow. I would say it's one of them. Yeah. Friends have told me before. Do you believe in the happy wife saying? No. Because it implies that making an individual happy in spite of your happiness, in spite of what you want to do? No. I don't think I could do an impression of my mom does this all the time. It's so funny that you guys mention this because my mom listens to the live streams. She never comments once in a while. And she's like, "Oh, I came across the one and you mentioned us." It wasn't bad though. It wasn't bad. So she listens sometimes. My mom does this. What? What? She always does this. I always make fun of her. She always goes, "Huh?" She always raises her shoulders. I couldn't do her voice though. Some people can find that they're great love in their 20s. My mom got married at 19. My sister got married at 18. I met the biggest love of my life at 19, but I moved in time and distance. Well, it's certainly possible, Judy Jack. It's certainly possible, but I think in the 21st century, people get antsy and they start thinking, I could do better, I can upgrade. And I just think that the percentages are against it. That's all. That's all. All right, folks. I got to make a call. This has been a really good live set. Rochelle, we got someone new. Oh, I haven't seen you around in a while, Rochelle. Just want to say my ex emailed me after a year and a half of me being in no contact. He thanked me for pushing him to go back to school. I've moved on, but acknowledged and felt good. You were reassured. Well, good for you, Rochelle. I haven't seen you in a long time on the live stream. And I know you made a few comments before, so I'm happy for you. Thanks for letting us know that. The biggest love of your life so far. Thank you for saying thank you. The biggest love of your life so far? I don't know what that means. People split up so easy nowadays. It's difficult to pin down just a few reasons, but it seems to be the way. Looking at my ancestors, they seem to have stuck it out rightly or wrongly. Yeah, my grandparents, well, my grandma was married 4 times. It's for another podcast. She's married 4 times and she pivoted quick. Lovely lady, great sense of humor. All right, folks, this has been grand. Thank you for the live. Seth dropped gloves. I always drop in at the end, and everyone says it's really late, right? It's supposed to be 12:20 over there. I was supposed to make a call at 11 o'clock. Hopefully, this guy doesn't get upset. It's not a coaching call though. This has been grand, outstanding, special, and I just want to reassure everyone that I appreciate you guys involved in the live stream, and this is growing. This is something that's becoming good. So, curtains.